Bienvenidos, amigas y amigos. It's your boy Darzus, and I hope this fine Sunday is an amazing day and an amazing conclusion to a great week for all of you out there. Today we are taking a look at Undead Unluck Chapter 214, the introduction to Tatiana's arc, and a rather simple, rather straightforward, but pretty fun chapter. Let's take a look at all of the events which occurred though, because you know the deal, yo. For sure, Yoshifumi, I'll let them know. Thank you. Guys, Yoshifumi Sensei actually just gave me a ring and said that if you are a Captain Kid fan, you're not like us, and you have to leave a like, a comment, and if you're a new viewer on the channel, you also have to subscribe. I hate to say it. Yoshifumi said it. He's the one who told us to do it. And if you're a Shanks fan, he also said just leave a like out of celebration because, you know, like, we're on top. That nigga's hard-boiled, like, you know. So chapter 214, the beginning of the quest to stop Tatiana's tragedy, begins in the girl's homeland. Moscow, Russia is where we find ourselves, as Tatiana is actually on a day off. And the whole little premise this chapter of Tatiana playing this game of cat and mouse where she's trying to enjoy her day off the way that she wants to was very fun, very funny even to see, because as a working man, I understand where that girl's coming from. If you don't have too much free time, you need to respect yourself, respect your wants, your wishes, your needs, and spend that time the way you want to. Tatiana, if you want to see a Pan Panda, go see that Pan Panda. Two issues arise from this game of cat and mouse. Fuko obviously stating that Tatiana's tragedy is due to occur whenever she is within a crowd of a large amounts of people. I thought this little depiction of it was interesting because obviously we know within last loop Tatiana had her manifestation on her birthday party, was hanging out with just her parents. However, I guess it does still occur in a similar situation just due to the fact that she blew away her whole town around her, similar to what Fuko was saying would occur right here right now. It's just interesting how Fuko could already have the knowledge that it could occur right here in this situation versus a very different manifestation in the previous loops. But the second issue that arises with Tatiana's disappearance is that Billy's daughter disappeared too. Billy's little daughter Betty was adorable this entire chapter, and one thing I want to bring to light so I don't forget to mention it later is it's cool to see that she's inherited Billy's insane sense of hearing, even though she's not blind. She's just hard-boiled, I guess. Nonetheless, we have two issues on the table. One, we have to ensure that Tatiana does not manifest her ability here and destroy an entire town of people. And we gotta find Betty. Let's get down to it. As we get our first peek at Tatiana, we see her in a terrible disguise. I know that obviously people would be like, oh, she's blonde, so like this girl has black hair. But who the hell has blonde eyelashes and eyebrows with black hair? Obviously you could dye your shit, but wouldn't you dye all the rest of your features if you were to dye your hair? Nonetheless, although she wishes she could do something a bit more inspiring, she says this casual stroll around a small town will be enough to reinvigorate her. And even though this young little girl being alone is not safe, it's none of her business. She's not gonna let this ruin her day. But god dang it, Tatiana, a good individual, an amazing young woman, stopped to help this young little girl out. And I love the whole little interaction between Tatiana and Betty. There's literally nothing to look further into it about because they obviously don't know each other yet. It's cool to see that like his daughter's across two different loops because obviously blood relations, Tatiana's not Billy's daughter, blah, 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 blah. But that's the quite literal relationship which was depicted all of last loop, and you're gonna be a goofball if you're gonna try to tell me that's not what was depicted. Tatiana is quite literally a daughter to Billy. Billy is a father to Tatiana, and it's cool to see two daughters from two different loops or two different situations, realities, interacting with each other. Cool shit. And obviously the girls get their own little montage. They're perusing the city, they're buying their eats, they're having their fun as the unions behind the scenes, frantic as could be, trying to find the quite literal walking time bomb next to another time bomb, because apparently Billy's gonna start shooting up the place if we don't find Betty, but that's besides the point. We're getting closer to that point where we can finally save both of these girls. Woo! As Tatiana and Betty sit on this park bench, Betty finally hears her dad and rushes over to Billy. But Billy, sensing that Betty may have mentioned talking to Tatiana, tries to listen out to see who's in the area. And this was the most badass part of the entire chapter. We've never truly got a depiction of how Billy reads the world, but like, goodness gracious. He's got a better understanding of the world than anybody with eyesight. Like, I got 20/20 vision, and I can tell you, I can't tell all the stuff that Midley can tell. This dude said clink, clink, and saw every single body within the vicinity of him, and could tell that they're like, I don't know, they're bio depictors. What the frick is the word I'm trying to find? Just their height, their stature, their weight, for lack of a better all-encompassing term. But that shit is hard-boiled, my dog. Hard-boiled. Well, with Billy finally locating Tatiana, it was time for Fuko to bring in the big guns. And she calls in Nico, has him drop in this gigantic union pod, and I was terrified. I was like, is Tatiana about to get put in the ball right here, right now? However, no. Fuko knows how to avoid a tragedy, and she did it in the coldest way possible. She dropped in a mother truckin' Pan Panda, the Union Special Edition one, and apparently the reason why Tatiana had came to this small town in particular this day. Hard-boiled for her. She's a true fan of the Pan Panda, and that's one thing I gotta mention, I guess. Guys, Pan Panda is gotta be an Uma Pan Panda, because like, how is this something that has reached beyond time itself? How is the Pan Panda joined across different loops? This same product, this same idea. I'm just saying, y'all, it might be a rule, it might be a master rule. But as Tatiana rushes over to the Pan Panda, her entire disguise falls off. And now we get a little bit of insight into where Tatiana's tragedy will come from. And it's interesting to see, just because obviously Tatiana is in a very different place than she was last loop. I am not sure, I don't believe at all that she was a model last loop. I think Yoshifumi would have implied that through some sort of mentioning of it. However, it was still the same idea that she loved her parents so much that they were the people who she wanted to touch. They were the people who she loved to be shown affection by and to. But this loop, it's kind of the inverse of it almost. The fact that she's become a model, trying to continuously show her affection towards people and show her care towards herself and her loved ones and all the fans that she can make happy, she has started to become, or started to get away from being able to show affection to the people that she truly cares about, because she can't spend time with them. And that's kind of why we find ourselves here on a leisurely day for Tatiana, because these are the most important days for her. These are the days where she can finally spend time the way that she wants to. But even though that's what she wants to do, she's not here with her parents. She's here with bodyguards. That's why she had to sneak away. It's a cool way to show this whole idea. I just hate that the word touch was said so many times and in one chapter about a child. However, anime and manga, bro. So as this gigantic crowd of people swarms around Tatiana, all trying to vie for her attention, for her affection, even though she still wants to be giving it to the people that she truly cares about the most, she gets saved. Sadako Kurusu, the worldwide renowned idol, or I guess she's not even worldwide renowned. I have no idea, bro. This shit's funny, though. This shit is good. She saves the day. An unchaste youth gets all of the crowd involved with her. They're all in love with her, and Fuko's not happy about it, but hey, it doesn't matter, because Fuko has got something big to do, a promise to keep as the Pan Panda comes to save the day, to show the love. Oh my god. That was the Undead Unluck. It was the Unluck of Undead. What a chapter, right? I don't know. It was a good chapter. I'm excited to see what happens next week, because it was just a for funsies one. There's just not much to say about it except for the fact that I enjoyed it. It was a solid 8 out of 10. There was negative tension involved with it, which is kind of what I wanted last arc. However, I'm not sure where and or if tension will come involved in this arc. It would be interesting to see if a Master Rule really does try to, implement their hand in here. However, I don't imagine that would happen. I could definitely see us going through this kind of scot-free, swooping Tatiana, saving her from her tragedy, because her tragedy in general, obviously, as we got to see during this one, is a deep-seated issue within her brain, her psyche, especially because, she's kind of roped herself into a career which goes against making her happy. Huh. It's crazy, right? You think you're doing what makes you happy, but it turns out that it actually takes you away from the happiness that you wanted to be. Money is a bitch. Tatiana, can't wait to see what you're up to next week. Fuko, what a woman. Pan Panda'd up. The exclusive edition. Who would have ever freaking thought of it? Like, crazy. This woman's crazy. But I'm out of here. Hasta luego.